So this is just after me taking apart my tricycle. I charged up my battery and I rode to Weird Stuff Warehouse. It was only an hour before the end of the day, for them at least. And I got here within 10 minutes of them closing, and I bought this. I was able to talk them down from $50 to $35. Check this baby out. I don't know how I'm gonna get it home though. Oh well, it's pretty cool. Oh, check that out. It fit perfectly. Upside down, at least. Those buildings are cool, but that's not what I want to show you guys. I want to show you this. This is a walking path, like a bridge that goes over the interstate. I've been eyeing this on Google Earth, and then I was just like looking at it on Google Street View, and it is so cool. It is as good as I thought. Let's go. Oh, check that out. I think I'm going to put this on my series that I've kind of neglected, places to see in Silicon Valley, because that is freaking cool. So I've had this for almost a week now, and I still cannot get it open. I've been trying to either remove the top part or remove the bottom part, and it is stumping me. I was going to be filming a video of it, but I think I'll just throw it into this random bits, and then I'll figure out how to open it later. If I undo all these screws in the bottom, they don't really undo the main plastic pieces. I think there's a lot of clips and stuff holding this thing on, and I really do not want to break the plastic. First of all, because it's really cool, just because it's Intel. You usually don't find Intel branded equipment. You just find like a Dell computer with Intel inside or something like that, but not Intel, where they actually made this. But also because I actually have a use for it, possibly. I have been interested in programming microchips for quite a long time, ever since I first started trying to make my own Nintendo Entertainment System games. Well, I just got this from a friend. I gave him $40 for this Nintendo, with 6 games and the power adapter. I have plenty of controllers and other stuff to get this working back in Illinois. I actually have like 2 or 3 other Nintendos back there. So I'll probably bring some controllers and stuff back, and I can actually do stuff with it. But what I want to do is I want to see about getting into programming my own microchips. And this thing, I mean, for $35, there might be a step in the right direction. Or at the very least, it's really cool. But now with the Nintendo, I actually have not tried it out yet. Everything looks okay with it. Looks well used. Has a couple dents in the plastic, but whatever. The games we got are Jaws, WrestleMania, who cares about that? Millipede, Super Off-Road, I've heard this one's good. Bad Dudes, I have this one. And Shreddin', or Heavy Shreddin'. Now, to be honest, getting cartridges like this is really good because I have no regrets for ripping this thing open and modifying the circuit board, because I am never going to give a shit about WrestleMania. Oh wait, look at that. I also got this. This was at Halted for only $1. It's a current clamp. As you can see, those broken. Right here, it's broken off the piece of plastic, so I'm holding it on with a zip tie. The circuitry is broken on the inside, or at least the wires are. But it's rated for 3,000 amps. Isn't that crazy? I'm probably going to take this back to Illinois and hook it up to my welder, so whenever I proceed with my arc furnace project, I can see how many amps it's pulling. Or other stuff, whatever. But yeah, for $1, I could not pass that up. That is just so cool. And this was made by the Fluke company before they were Fluke. It's the RPM 3300. But now it's called the Fluke 3300. That's some pretty cool stuff for $1. Going back and forth between California and Illinois, I have yet to have any jet lag because it fits perfectly into my schedule. So where back in Illinois, I would usually sleep in late and wake up late. But out here, I wake up a little bit earlier and sleep in, and go to sleep a little bit earlier. And it just happens to be that it works out perfectly to where now I'm still staying by the same time, but I wake up at like 7 in the morning. Well, unfortunately, now that the sun has been coming up earlier and earlier, that's messing me up. Now I've been waking up at like 5:55 or whatever, and it's difficult to go to sleep for another hour and a half. So I added some paper to the window. That should help quite a bit in minimizing how much the sun wakes me up. Although I still have all those windows up there. But the thing is though, if I have all those windows, and I have that window, and I have that window, pretty much any direction I put my head, besides just facing that wall, I'm going to have light blinding in my eyes. But now, I can kind of be out of the way of this light over here, and I can be out of that way, so as long as I just don't look south, where those windows are, I can still be asleep. But it'll probably help and slowly wake me up, just not wake me up entirely. A few other things I've been wanting to do. I've been wanting to take all my electronic stuff and move it into my technician's case. My technician's case, I really enjoyed it back whenever I used it a lot, but it's pretty bulky. But I do have to say, it is really cool. It is a really nice case. Do you remember whenever I was up on... I can't remember what mountain... I think they're just called like the Santa Cruz Mountains or whatever. I think that is. I don't know. But either way, I remember whenever I was jumping on that on the top just to test its strength, and it held my weight pretty well. Although I'm not really heavy. I'm only like 128 pounds. But still, I just... Since it's... that moment kind of like crystallized in my mind just like how strong it was, and it's like, ooh, I really respect it, because if that thing would have broken, I'd throw it away. So now I'm going to see about putting all the electronic stuff in there, clearing off a space on there, and also having it more mobile so I can take the electronic stuff. Mostly just little electronic modules and LEDs and stuff like that. And then I'll probably want to move this stuff. This isn't actually my computer, it's my landlord, so I can just throw it in with their stuff. And I mean, it's their computer, so whatever. I kind of want to organize all my hard drives and whatever. Oh, also I found this. I totally forgot I bought this back in like January. It may be another data archaeology video. I don't think I've ever actually tried to look inside it. Now I do have to say, one thing that has tended to bug me is this Ethernet cable. It goes down here and onto the ground. And that's just not going to do, because I would hate to keep stepping on it. The router is just right there, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to zip tie the cable to the top parts of the frame for the garage door and have it come down. Well, I think that turned out pretty great. It sure does leave one less cable on the floor, although I still have the cable going to my tricycle. It'd be really nice to be able to have just an outlet like right there or something like that I could plug it into, but I can always fix that later. So I'm kind of torn. I have that one Hewlett-Packard machine that I've been using on my data archaeology videos. It's 32-bit, and I think it has like a Pentium 4 inside of it. Then I have this little machine, which is, I believe, about the same specs, just a lot smaller and a lot more broken. I've been wondering, should I get rid of one and use the other one as like having a 32-bit machine? Or, I don't know. This one is kind of nice because it's so small. But unfortunately, the hard drive has gone out. It's not a huge deal. But the biggest deal is the power supply. If the power supply on that Hewlett-Packard went out, it would be just a normal thing. But on this one, it's a weird power supply that was only made by this company. So I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure that it was mostly only made for this type of computer. In here we have two 512 sticks of RAM, so we have a gigabyte of RAM. We have a Wi-Fi card, which that is pretty nice. Now, it's nice to have a Wi-Fi system. Having to plug into Ethernet, although it's nice, isn't always the easiest, especially when you have to have a cable. Because I would have to say, if this Optiplex had Wi-Fi on it, I probably wouldn't bother with the cable, because sure, you do get a better connection with a cable, but most of the time Wi-Fi is just as good. Then over here we have an AGP slot, and behind it a PCI slot. That really does show how old it is by the fact that it has an AGP slot. I think they stopped using AGP in 2006. So this is almost 10 years old, probably. But I'm thinking it might actually be kind of interesting if I can get the capacitors for this. Because really, for this power supply, it's probably just a bunch of capacitors that have gone bad on it. Problem is, though, inside of here they've kind of epoxied everything together. So it'll be really difficult to pick everything apart. Everything's kind of glued in here, and it's all kind of stuffed in there. I really have no attraction to the case, though. I could use a regular big power supply and, I don't know, make my own case or get a different case, but just keep the motherboard. Although, chances are this motherboard's only like 800 megahertz. So, I really don't know. What the heck? Let's find out if this thing works or not. So last time the hard drive crapped on me. Let's find out. Okay, so it just occurred to me I do have an SSD that I'm not using. I also happen to have a Windows XP installation disk, so let's install Windows XP on the SSD and see what this thing's got. Unfortunately, I can't figure out how to get into the BIOS. If I could get in the BIOS, it'd probably say how fast the CPU was, but oh well. Okay, maybe not. But I just Googled it, and it looks like you can reset it. Okay, and you hit the delete key. Of all the keys, why delete? I don't understand. You think it'd be escape or something like that. Oh, okay. Wow, I cannot find information about the about the CPU. I mean, I can find like specific information, but not like what CPU is it? What frequency is it? This computer is so temperamental and unreliable. Now it's gotten to the Windows setup screen, but it's stalled yet again. I don't think I'm going to trust this computer. No. So that's pretty much decided. I think if I'm going to have a 32-bit machine, I'm going to keep with that Hewlett-Packard machine. Well, that was a quick way to solve that, I guess. But now I have another problem. All the stuff underneath here is kind of like my possibly going to the recycling center stuff. But that little computer, it has a motherboard in it. And I personally have been wanting to stockpile motherboards so I can do what I used to do, where I just had a wall with motherboards screwed onto it, and it was just like one giant circuit board wall. Although I didn't have enough circuit boards back then to do that, I only had like 8 or 9 circuit boards, or 8 or 9 motherboards. But now they're really starting to pile up, and I'm thinking this might be a good opportunity for me to kind of just grow a little collection of motherboards. But then the problem is, if I take the motherboard out of that case, what good is it for the recycling? Because then if I take the motherboard out, well, I might as well keep the cables out, and I might as well keep the power supply, and I might as well keep all the other stuff. And I wouldn't want to just have a pile of stuff laying there and recycle the case. It'd be more compact to keep the stuff in the case. So I've run myself around to keeping it now. Oh, and I almost forgot. Last week I bought 2 things and totally forgot about them until they showed up, and it was like a gift from past self. First and second. Heck yeah. Super Mario Bros. 2 and Snake Rattle and Roll. These are probably some of the 2 of the main games that I think if you have a Nintendo Entertainment System, you gotta have this game. Or you gotta have at least one of these games. And if you're gonna get games this good, you might as well go and get them in the box. They're about 30 bucks a piece on eBay. I don't really care if the box is crunched up, it's okay. But they also happen to come with the manuals and stuff. This one's pretty much almost a complete box. It even has a piece of styrofoam inside of it. I'm just so excited. Because this is the game that is probably the oldest memory that I remember. I remember back in like 1994 or 1995, back when I was like 1 or 2. I think we rented this. We rented... Okay. We rented something. Either we rented the game and the console, or I think... Oh no, I think we rented the game and we borrowed my uncle's Nintendo and we played it. But I remember it as almost 2 memories, which is kind of interesting because back then, it's interesting how young I was able to realize that, oh, what was happening on the television was different from what was happening in the room. But I remembered almost as 2 different memories. One, what was happening in the room of my mom and dad playing Super Mario Bros. 2. And also I have like a separate memory of what was happening on the screen. And I just remember being amazed at how like how the characters could jump and pick things up. But yeah, it's one of my oldest memories ever. And it's a fun game too. I'm still looking for an old 1980s television, 16-inch tube, color with wood grain on the side, and maybe like a, I don't know, maybe like the turning knobs, but probably better like the one I had back in Illinois, where it's just digital buttons. Because then I could also have this old VCR, one of the first VCRs, on it. And I could like watch videos and stuff. That'd be a nice set to have, just to have a TV and that thing on it. And then of course a Nintendo and all that stuff. It's kind of funny that now that I moved out here, I've started to amass yet another little video game collection. I guess more video games up there too. Oh yeah, and even more games over here. Commodore 64 games. Man, I am getting a lot of stuff. Oh well. Well, that's pretty much my Sunday. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching. See ya!